a founder being there has a couple of advantages. One is what you can call as founder clout. So if you have to move the company in a particular direction, the founder has the clout to pull it off, because he has that credibility, he has that, whatever you want to call it. So that's valuable, and I think I was able to use some of that founder clout to get some things done. The second thing is that it brings stability and a long-termish nature to this, because I always think about what's the legacy I will leave behind, and how do I make sure that this company will continue to prosper when I'm not there, and so on. So there's a long-termish kind of approach to a company which founders have. Now it doesn't mean that non-founders don't have that, because there are many very successful companies in the world that are run without founders, and they've been around for hundreds of years. But I think it's very important, therefore, when founders transition, that the board may not have founders, but it needs people who think like founders. It's more like, how do you think like founders? That is not some short-term thing, but how do you build a company for the long term? As long as people think like that, they need not be founders.
In an unsustainable fashion, where every 6 months you have to raise capital, spend to grow, that's the way it's been, at least on the consumer internet side.
Well, I think, finally, when you look at the great companies born out of the internet in the last 20 years, it's Google, Facebook, Amazon, and of course, Apple took advantage of the mobile internet. And then in China, you had Alipay, WeChat, Baidu, and now we have ByteDance with TikTok. All these are hugely profitable companies. So you have to reach a point where you get your unit economics right, where you get your contributions right, where you start making money. Making money is the best defense against any of this. Now, people say, okay, we have to grow very fast, so we'll make losses till we grow. Okay, there's some argument there, but that doesn't mean that you don't focus on getting the unit economics right very early in the game. It's also about using your capital very sparingly and very thoughtfully. Because one thing that has definitely happened, and I can say from first hand by watching some of the actors, is money has been just, spent in a pretty generous manner.
To acquire users.
What acquire? And if you get a high cost of customer acquisition because you use some advertising or something, and you have low organic growth, you have high cost, then the customers you get to the eyeballs who see it, that's another thing. So for every 50 guys, one guy becomes a customer.
Yeah.
Now, the customers you get, only 20% are retained.
Lifetime value is also not great.
That funnel is so difficult that it's very difficult to make money there. So you have to first reduce the cost of customer acquisition, right? So which means that you have to grow organically, not by putting ads somewhere. And we talked about Physics Wala. His cost of acquisition is zero, as far as I can make out. This company that you interviewed, because he has a following on YouTube. He's like creator economy guy, and they all listen to him, and then he says, why don't you buy my lesson? They buy it. So he doesn't have to spend money on acquisition. And then stickiness will come because you constantly offer value. So you have to get all these basic things right. So, that sometimes you miss out. So I think this is a great time for companies, and I think there will be some great companies that will finally emerge from all this, who got the discipline and all that to be profitable and grow at the same time.